herd of feral children. Do you know what a child raised by gorillas looks like? Today, let's take a look at 8 human children raised by wild animals, especially the last one, whose appearance is somewhat terrifying. 8th, the Wolf Girl Sisters, 1920. In 1920, hunters in India encountered a wolf pack while hunting. Behind the wolves, they saw a little girl. They followed the wolf pack and found another human child in the wolves' den. The surrounding wolves did not eat the children but protected them. The hunters rescued the 2 children and brought them to a nearby orphanage. However, the girls behaved very strangely. They only liked eating raw meat and attacked people who tried to dress them. At night, they howled at the moon. The probability of being raised by wolves is very low. Not being eaten is already very lucky. 7th, the Chicken Boy, 1970. In a remote village on Fiji Island in 1970, a tragic little boy lived. His parents died when he was very young, and his grandfather did not like him. The old man locked him in a chicken coop, where he lived with dozens of chickens every day. This caused him to start mimicking the behaviors and habits of chickens, such as pecking at the ground while eating and flapping his arms. It wasn't until he was 8 years old that the local child protection organization rescued him. However, the shadows of his childhood made him highly aggressive, and he had to be tied to a bed to prevent him from hurting others. Although he eventually adapted to modern society, some chicken behaviors were ingrained in him, and he still displayed some strange chicken-like actions. 6th, the Monkey Boy. In the last century, a Ugandan boy lost his mother in a disaster. With no one to take care of him, he ventured into the dense jungle in search of food. Facing a dead end, he luckily encountered a group of long-tailed monkeys. Initially, these monkeys were very wary of him, but after some time, they began to offer him nuts and roots. Soon, he learned how to forage and climb trees from his new friends. Years later, a woman from a nearby village found him while collecting firewood. Initially, she thought he was a mutated monkey. When rescuers took him away, the monkeys threw stones at the humans. Due to prolonged crawling, the boy had difficulty walking upright, had long nails, and avoided eye contact, as this was considered very rude in the monkey community. 5th, the Chimpanzee Boy, 1996. In 1996, an abandoned African baby with congenital disabilities was found by a chimpanzee. The 6-month-old child, left to die, was taken in by a mother chimpanzee and integrated into the chimpanzee family. Despite being different species, the chimpanzee family did not reject him. Years later, he was found and taken to a welfare institution, but he exhibited very strange behaviors. He often jumped on the dormitory beds and liked throwing things. Perhaps he preferred the company of the temperamental chimpanzees over civilized humans. 1910, the Leopard Boy. In a village in India in 1910, a young boy was carried off into the woods by a leopard. Everyone thought he was doomed. However, years later, a hunter near the village killed a mother leopard and found 2 cubs and a scarred human child in her den. The boy was quickly returned to his parents, but he was very resistant to humans and would jump into the surrounding forest whenever frightened. He refused to sleep indoors, so his father had to tie him to a post outside. Additionally, he had a very keen sense of smell, often catching and biting village chickens to death and eating them raw. Even after getting married, he never lost this strange habit of hunting small animals. 1990, the Goat Boy. In 1990, a 12-year-old boy was found among a herd of goats in the Andes Mountains. He had been abandoned by his parents at the age of 4 and survived in the wild by drinking goat milk and eating roots. Goats are skilled at navigating cliffs, and to keep up with them, the boy developed thick calluses on his knuckles. Although he was not good at communicating with humans, he seemed to have a communication system with the goats. 1954. The Wolf Boy. In 1954, a boy named Pantoja was sold to a Spanish shepherd by his father when he was 7 years old. After his owner died, he escaped to a nearby cave, not realizing that 2 wolf pups were hiding in the corner. Soon, the hunting wolf mother returned but did not eat the boy. Instead, she casually threw him a piece of raw meat. He was discovered by the Spanish Civil Guard in 1965. Although he gradually adapted to civilized human life, he always slept on the cold floor at night. Years later, he expressed that he preferred the happy times he spent with the wolf pack over the hypocrisy of human civilization. 1950. The River Boy. In 1950, a mother in the village of Barakdava, India, accidentally dropped her child into the river. More than 20 years later, a local priest discovered a strange creature by the riverbank. The creature looked human but was covered in green fuzz, catching fish in the river and eating them raw. News spread quickly, and the mother who had lost her child followed the creature. When it fell asleep on the shore, she saw a birthmark on its neck identical to her lost child's. It is unimaginable how he survived in the wild. The green calluses on his skin were likely due to long-term exposure to algae and bacteria. For years, he remained a mysterious figure around the village.